Can I ask you something a little personal? Have you ever gone to bed feeling perfectly fine, only to wake up the next morning with a stiffness in your hand, a slur in your speech, or a dizziness that made you wonder if your body was betraying you? As a neurologist who has spent 3 decades caring for older adults across the United States, I have seen this story far too often. Stroke, memory loss, muscle weakness. They don't arrive with loud warnings. They arrive quietly, sometimes in the middle of the night, changing a life forever. But here's the truth I want you to hold on to today. Your brain is not your enemy. It is your most loyal companion, Juan, and with the right daily choices, you can protect it. You can lower your risk of stroke, preserve your memory, and strengthen your muscles even after the age of 60. The New York Times reported in April 2024 that nearly 800,000 Americans suffer a stroke every single year, and 1 out of every 4 of those strokes happens in adults over 65. That is not just a number. That is someone's grandfather, someone's mother, someone just like you. I am not here to scare you. I am here to give you hope, to share clear science, and to guide you gently towards small actions that can protect your independence and dignity. If you have ever felt that hidden worry, please type the number 1 in the comments. If not, type 0. I want to know how many of you are walking this same road together. And if these words already touch your heart, please subscribe and ring the bell so we don't lose this connection. Because your brain deserves protection before it needs saving. Number 1, sweet cocktails. When fun turns into a hidden stroke trigger. Have you ever held a colorful cocktail at a family gathering, maybe a margarita or a daiquiri, and thought to yourself, it is just a sweet little drink. Nothing strong, nothing dangerous. That is what many of my patients over 60 believed. The truth is very different. Sweet cocktails may look innocent, but inside the aging body, they set off a dangerous chain reaction that can quietly increase the risk of a stroke. Why are these drinks such a problem? First, they are loaded with sugar. A frozen margarita can carry over 30 grams of sugar in 1 glass, equal to 7 or 8 teaspoons. At age 60 or 70, the body is already less able to handle sudden spikes in blood sugar. The pancreas works harder, insulin resistance rises, and sugar lingers longer in the bloodstream. This creates inflammation inside the blood vessels, making them fragile and sticky. Now add alcohol. Alcohol first dilates the vessels, making you feel warm and relaxed, and then hours later it constricts them sharply. That swing in pressure against already inflamed vessel walls is one of the silent triggers for clot formation. I once treated a 75-year-old grandmother who collapsed at her granddaughter's birthday party after 2 cocktails. She was not a smoker, she exercised, and her diet was mostly healthy. But the sugar plus alcohol combined with her medication for blood pressure was more than her brain could handle that night. She survived, but she never walked the same way again. The mistake most people make is thinking, because it tastes like juice, it must be safe. In reality, sugar masks the strength of alcohol, and that is what makes these drinks so dangerous. You do not feel drunk, but your brain feels the impact. If you are over 60, my advice is simple. Be cautious with any sweetened alcoholic drinks, especially at night. If you want something refreshing at a celebration, try sparkling water with a slice of lemon or a splash of cranberry juice. Your brain will thank you in the morning. Do you see yourself in this story? Have you ever woken up foggy or dizzy after just 1 or 2 cocktails? Share your experience in the comments. You may help someone else recognize the warning signs before it is too late. Number 2, beer, the dehydrating illusion. For many older adults, beer does not feel like real alcohol. It is light, it is familiar, and it often shows up at backyard barbecues, baseball games, or quiet evenings at home. But here is the hard truth I want you to hear. After 60, beer is not harmless. In fact, it can quietly create the perfect conditions for a stroke while you sleep. Beer acts as a diuretic. That means it makes your body flush out fluids faster. And it is not just water that leaves your body. Along with that fluid, you lose sodium, potassium, and magnesium, the very electrolytes your brain and heart depend on. Now imagine this in the body of a 70-year-old man who already drinks less water during the day because his sense of thirst has declined. He sits down with a couple of cold beers in the evening, believing it will help him relax and fall asleep. What happens next? Overnight, his body continues losing fluid. His blood thickens just enough to slow its flow through arteries that may already be narrowed or stiffened with age. His blood pressure fluctuates. His sleep quality drops because alcohol disrupts the deeper stages of rest. And in those fragile early morning hours, a tiny clot can form, travel to the brain, and block oxygen flow. No warning, no pain, just a life changed in an instant. I remember a patient named Carl, age 69, a retired mechanic. Every evening, he enjoyed 2 beers in front of the television. He thought of it as part of his routine, nothing more. One morning, his wife found him unable to speak, his right arm limp at his side. The scans confirmed a stroke. His cholesterol was fine. He was not a heavy drinker, but years of nightly beer had quietly dehydrated his body and strained his blood vessels. The biggest mistake I see is assuming that beer's lightness makes it safe. In reality, its mild nature is deceptive. Because it does not feel strong, many people overlook the slow but steady toll it takes on the aging brain and circulation. So here's my advice. If you still enjoy beer, balance it with real water. Keep a tall glass nearby and finish it before bed. Better yet, consider replacing that evening beer with a calming tea or sparkling water. Your brain and your independence are worth far more than a nightly habit. Have you ever told yourself, beer is just like water? If so, type yes in the comments. If you have already made the change, share your story. You might inspire someone else to protect their health. Number 3, champagne. Celebration that can backfire. Champagne is tied to joy. Weddings, anniversaries, birthdays, New Year's Eve. The sound of the cork and the rise of the bubbles feel like celebration itself. For many adults over 60, a glass or 2 of champagne seems like the gentlest way to join in the toast. But I want you to understand the hidden danger. Those cheerful bubbles can quietly increase your risk of stroke, especially when your blood vessels are already aging. The carbonation in champagne speeds up the absorption of alcohol. Those tiny bubbles open the stomach lining and allow ethanol to rush into your bloodstream much faster than flat drinks like wine or beer. That rapid rise makes your blood vessels dilate quickly, and then just a few hours later, they constrict sharply. For an older brain with arteries that are less flexible, that sudden pressure swing can be devastating. It can lead to clot formation or even a transient ischemic attack, often called a mini-stroke. I recall a patient named Hilda, an 83-year-old retired piano teacher. She lived independently, never smoked, and ate a healthy diet. At her granddaughter's engagement party, she had 2 glasses of champagne. By the end of the evening, she felt dizzy, her vision blurred, and her speech slipped. The scans later confirmed a small clot in her brain. She recovered, but her balance never fully returned. She told me, "I thought I was celebrating. I never imagined champagne could do this." The mistake many people make is assuming that because champagne is light, it must be safe. But your body does not care about the occasion. It reacts the same way to alcohol, sugar, and carbonation. And because champagne often comes in social settings where people forget to hydrate or eat enough, the risks quietly multiply. So what can you do? If you choose to raise a glass, limit yourself to a small portion, drink water alongside it, and always eat food to slow absorption. But if you are already over 60s and managing blood pressure or heart issues, I recommend finding safer ways to celebrate, sparkling water with fruit, or a non-alcoholic toast. Have you ever felt lightheaded after just 1 or 2 glasses of champagne? Share your experience in the comments. Your story might help another person think twice before their next celebration. Because joy should strengthen your memories, not steal them. Number 4, red wine, from heart healthy to brain hazard. For decades, red wine has carried a reputation as the healthy drink. Many doctors in the 1990s told patients that a nightly glass could protect the heart. And so thousands of older adults built a ritual around it. 1 glass with dinner, believing it was medicine in a stemmed glass. But after 30 years of treating patients, I must tell you the other side of the story. After the age of 60, red wine can quietly shift from heart helper to brain hazard. Yes, red wine contains resveratrol, an antioxidant found in grape skins that has been linked to cardiovascular benefits. But the same glass also contains ethanol, alcohol. Ethanol affects the central nervous system, slows circulation, and places new strain on arteries that are already stiffening with age. Younger bodies flush alcohol faster. Older livers and kidneys work more slowly, which means that one glass stays in the bloodstream longer, especially overnight. Here is what happens in real life. Around 2 in the morning, while you are asleep, the alcohol that made you feel relaxed hours earlier starts constricting your blood vessels. Your blood pressure rises, your hydration drops, and your blood thickens. If there is even a small narrowing in a brain artery, that is when a clot can form, and you wake up with slurred words, a weak hand, or a dizzy confusion that will not fade. I remember a patient named Robert, 72, a retired school teacher. Every night he enjoyed 1 8-ounce glass of red wine. He exercised, never smoked, and kept his weight stable. Yet one morning he woke unable to move his left hand. The MRI showed a mild ischemic stroke. He told me, "I thought I was doing everything right." His only risk was the nightly wine. The mistake many make is thinking, "It is just 1 glass. I have been fine for years." But moderation changes with age. What felt harmless at 40 can be harmful at 70. My advice is simple. If you love the ritual, replace the glass of wine with herbal tea, warm water with lemon, or sparkling juice. These choices soothe the mind without straining the brain. Now I want to invite you into this conversation. Have you ever believed red wine was protecting your health? If so, type yes in the comments. If you have already let go of that habit, share how you feel now. Your words might give courage to someone else who is quietly struggling with the same choice. This is not about shame. It is about healing together. We are companions on this journey, learning and supporting one another. I promise to read through your stories, and I know they will inspire others to protect both their hearts and their brains. Because at this stage of life, community matters as much as medicine. And your story could be the healing someone else needs today. Number 5, whiskey, vodka, and gin. Strong spirits with silent consequences. There is a kind of tradition around strong spirits. A small glass of whiskey by the fire. A neat pour of vodka after dinner. A gin and tonic while listening to music. For many adults over 60, these drinks feel refined, even earned after a long day. But what I have seen again and again in my practice is that these strong liquors carry risks that most people never imagine. Whiskey, vodka, and gin all share one thing in common. Their alcohol concentration is high, often 40% or more. Even a single shot is enough to affect blood vessels in a body that no longer metabolizes alcohol the way it did at 40 or 50. At first, alcohol makes the blood vessels relax and widen. You feel warmth in your face, a gentle calm. But in the early morning hours, the liver slowly breaks down the alcohol and the effect reverses. The blood vessels constrict, blood pressure rises, and in arteries that are already stiffened with age, this sudden squeeze can lead to clot formation. I remember a patient, Dennis, age 76, who enjoyed 1 vodka tonic every evening. He believed it was a clean, safe choice because vodka has no sugar and fewer calories than beer or cocktails. One morning, he blacked out briefly in his kitchen, dropped his coffee, and could not recall what day it was. The scans showed a small ischemic stroke. He was stunned. "I thought vodka was the healthiest one," he told me. But for his aging brain, that nightly drink was silently setting the stage for danger. The common mistake is thinking that because these drinks are clear or smooth, they are safer. The truth is the opposite. Their strength makes them more dangerous, and the body's slower metabolism after 60 magnifies their effect. Add in the natural dehydration that comes with aging, and you have the perfect environment for blood clots to form while you sleep. If you are still enjoying these spirits, I encourage you to pause. Ask yourself, is this truly relaxing me, or is it quietly putting my independence at risk? Try replacing the evening drink with a soothing alternative, herbal tea, warm water, or gentle stretching before bed. Have you ever thought of whiskey, vodka, or gin as your safe choice? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your honesty could help someone else see what they have been overlooking. And remember, protecting your brain is not about losing joy. It is about giving yourself the chance to live with clarity and strength for years to come. Number 6. Brandy and Cognac. Smooth, sophisticated, but risky. For many older adults, brandy or cognac is not just a drink, it is a ritual. A quiet evening, a rounded glass warming in the hand, the soft aroma rising as you sit with a favorite book or a piece of music. It feels dignified, almost medicinal, something far removed from rowdy drinking. Yet in the body over 60, even this elegant sip can carry hidden dangers that few realize until it is too late. Brandy and cognac are distilled from wine, which means they are strong, usually between 35 and 60% alcohol by volume. They are also rich in compounds called congeners, byproducts of fermentation that add flavor, but they also make them harder for the body to process. A younger liver may handle these challenges with ease. An older liver, already working at a slower pace, struggles to clear them, leaving alcohol in the bloodstream longer. Here is why that matters. After the initial relaxation, your blood vessels tighten as alcohol is broken down, raising blood pressure during the night. If you are even mildly dehydrated, and many people over 60 are without realizing it, your blood becomes thicker, increasing the risk that platelets will clump together. A small clot is all it takes to block oxygen to part of the brain, and it often happens in silence during sleep. I recall Alvin, a 79-year-old retired professor. Every night he poured himself one glass of cognac and read before bed. He never smoked, ate carefully, and walked every day. One spring morning he woke confused, his vision blurred, his right leg weak. The scan revealed a mild stroke. He could not believe it. "It was just one glass, my routine for years," he said quietly. But that one glass, combined with age-related changes in his vessels and hydration, had tipped the balance. The mistake is believing that refinement means safety. The truth is, strength hides behind smoothness. Brandy and cognac may feel gentle on the tongue, but in the aging brain, they can create a storm. My advice is this: if the ritual comforts you, find a healthier replacement. Herbal tea, warm milk, or simply a moment of stillness with your book can bring the same peace without the silent cost. Have you ever thought of a drink as part of your identity or tradition? Share that in the comments. Others may be walking the same path, and your story might help them choose a safer way to honor both tradition and health. Number 7, homemade fruit wines. Tradition that can turn toxic. There is something deeply comforting about traditions. Many families in America still pass down recipes for homemade fruit wine: blackberry, apple, plum, or cherry. For older adults, sipping a small glass of wine made from their own garden feels natural, wholesome, and even filled with love. It is a connection to childhood memories, to parents and grandparents long gone. But after decades as a neurologist, I have to tell you the truth. Homemade fruit wine may carry dangers that no one in the family recipe book ever wrote down. Unlike store-bought wines, homemade batches are not regulated. No one measures the final alcohol content, checks for toxins, or tests the fermentation process. A bottle that tastes smooth may actually contain 18% alcohol, stronger than most red wines. And if fermentation was incomplete, it can leave behind harmful byproducts like methanol and acetaldehyde. These substances place enormous stress on the nervous system, especially in older adults, whose livers already metabolize alcohol more slowly. I remember Mrs. DeMarco, 81 years old, who made blackberry wine every fall. She gave it to her children and neighbors, and she drank a small glass each night. To her, it was part of her identity. But one morning she woke confused, unable to hold her coffee cup. The scans revealed a mild stroke. Her family brought me a bottle of her wine, and when tested, its alcohol level was nearly 18%. What had been a labor of love became a hidden threat. The mistake many make is assuming that natural equals safe, but nature does not guarantee balance. In fact, the unpredictability is exactly what makes homemade wine more dangerous. The body over 60 cannot tolerate surprises in alcohol strength or hidden toxins. So here is my advice. If you cherish the tradition, keep the memory, not the glass. Use those bottles as decorations or fill them with flowers. If you want a nightly ritual, choose herbal tea, fruit-infused water, or warm milk. These can honor the feeling of comfort without risking your brain's health. Have you or your family ever made wine at home? Share your memories in the comments. These stories matter. Together we can honor tradition, but also protect the future, because love and memory should be passed down, not silent risks hiding in a bottle. Number 8, lessons learned. Why moderation after 60 is different. One of the greatest misunderstandings I hear from my patients is this: "Doctor, I have been drinking like this for years, and I have always been fine." That sentence carries both comfort and danger. Comfort because it speaks of long-standing habits. Danger because it ignores one critical fact. Your body at 70 is not the same as your body at 40. Moderation changes with age, and what once seemed harmless may now tip the scale toward risk. Here is why. As we grow older, our liver processes alcohol more slowly, leaving it in the bloodstream longer. Our kidneys filter less fluid, making dehydration easier. Our blood vessels stiffen, losing the flexibility they once had. These changes are normal parts of aging, but they also mean alcohol affects the body differently. What used to be just one glass can now raise blood pressure, thicken blood, and encourage clot formation. Studies from the National Institute on Aging have shown that seniors are more sensitive to alcohol's effects, even at lower amounts. That is why one drink at 70 may equal 2 or 3 drinks at 30 in terms of impact. Yet many people continue to compare their current tolerance with their younger selves. That is a mistake I have seen cost too many lives and too much independence. I recall Robert, a 72-year-old teacher who thought his nightly red wine was harmless because he had done it for decades. Or Carl, a 69-year-old mechanic who believed beer was just water. Both men ended up in the hospital with strokes, shocked that their small routines could betray them. The lesson is clear. Moderation is not a fixed rule across a lifetime. It must be redefined as your body changes. After 60, every choice carries more weight. Every small habit, whether protective or risky, adds up faster. So what can you do? Re-examine routines you have carried for years. Ask yourself whether they are still serving your health. Replace nightly alcohol with healthier rituals, tea, stretching, or a phone call to a loved one. These may seem small, but they create a shield for your brain and heart. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever caught yourself saying, "I have always done this and been fine"? Share that moment in the comments. Your story could remind someone else that it is never too late to adjust, to protect, and to keep living with clarity and strength. Number 9, protecting your brain, protecting your future. At this stage of life, protecting your brain is not about giving something up. It is about choosing what matters most. When I sit across from my patients, what they want more than anything is not another prescription, not another test, but the ability to stay independent, to remember their grandchildren's names, to walk without fear of falling, to speak their thoughts clearly. These are treasures worth far more than a nightly drink. The science is undeniable. Nearly 800,000 Americans suffer a stroke each year, and about 1 out of every 4 of those strokes happens in adults over 65, according to the New York Times. Stroke is not just a medical event, it is a thief of identity. It steals words, balance, and confidence. But here is the hopeful truth. Many strokes are preventable when we make changes in our daily habits. Every choice you make after 60 is magnified. A glass of water before bed can protect your brain. A short walk after dinner can keep blood flowing. Choosing herbal tea instead of alcohol can mean waking up refreshed rather than foggy. Small actions build a shield around your brain, one that medicine alone cannot provide. I often remind my patients that moderation is not weakness, it is wisdom. It is saying that my memory, my clarity, my independence mean more to me than a tradition in a glass. And when patients embrace that, I see something beautiful. They do not just avoid strokes, they gain better sleep, brighter mornings, and stronger muscles. They begin to feel alive again. So let me ask you, what do you want most for your future? 10 more years of sharpness, of laughter, of clear conversations, or another drink that may quietly take those things away? The choice is yours, and it is powerful. If you feel ready to protect your brain and claim your future, share your thoughts in the comments. Tell us one small step you are choosing tonight, whether it is a glass of water, a gentle stretch, or saying no to that drink. Your decision might inspire someone else who is listening right now. Together, we can build a community where protecting the brain becomes the greatest act of self-care. Because your future is not just about living long, it is about living well. We have walked through many familiar drinks together: cocktails, beer, champagne, wine, and spirits that feel harmless but quietly strain the brain. The lesson is clear. After 60, the body changes, and the rules of moderation change with it. What once seemed like comfort may now be a risk. But here is the good news. It is never too late to make a change, and even small choices can protect your future. As a neurologist with 3 decades of experience, I want you to know that the brain remains remarkably resilient. With proper hydration, good nutrition, and healthy routines, it can heal, adapt, and protect you. I have seen patients who gave up nightly alcohol, replaced it with gentle evening walks or calming teas, and within weeks noticed clearer sleep, sharper memory, and renewed energy. The body responds to kindness at any age, and I want you to feel encouraged. You do not have to give up joy. You simply shift it. Instead of raising a glass of whiskey, raise a glass of water with lemon. Instead of ending the night with a cocktail, try a stretch or a prayer, or share a story with a loved one. These changes do not take away your identity. They protect it. They allow you to keep living as yourself, fully and independently. If tonight feels like a turning point for you, hold on to that hope. Change is possible. The very fact that you are here, listening and reflecting, means you care about your health and your future. That care is the first of medicine. Before we finish, I want to ask you gently, which habit do you feel ready to release, and which new one will you embrace? Reflect on this and share your answer in the comments. Your story may give someone else the courage to start. And if you are ready for a practical next step, I invite you to watch our next video. Eat these 5 seeds before bed for instant deep sleep. In it, I will share natural foods you can add to your nightly routine that calm the nervous system, balance hormones, and help you wake up refreshed. Your brain deserves rest, healing, and clarity. Let us keep protecting it together. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend. Because protecting your brain before it needs saving is the greatest gift you can give yourself and those who love you.